Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another CraftySimulations video. Now, a couple of videos ago I did say I was going to start flying a type of aircraft that, well, I haven't really featured too many times on the channel before, and that is the turboprop. The reason why that I haven't featured it is, well, I'm just not a fan of turboprops. I don't like the noise of the things. So I have been flying the Grand Caravan, and I've been having a whale of a time with the thing. I absolutely love it. And I have got other turboprops lined up for future content. Doesn't involve the Grand Caravan, but there are other ones out there. Single engine, civilian, you know, getting anywhere, that kind of arrangement of aircraft. However, whilst I was sat here on my computer a few days ago, I basically had a little brainwave and I realised that there was another turboprop that is built to get into pretty much anywhere, that has never featured on my channel before at all, and I will go into a reason why that's the case, and that is this aircraft you see before you. This is the CraftySim C130J Super Hercules. And some of you will be going, oh no, it's CraftySim. Oh no, what are you doing? You can't be featuring CraftySim. Well, hear me out. Okay. Many years ago, in 2004 times, when Flight Simulator 2004, FS9 I do believe it was called, was out, CraftySim was a very good producer of Flight Simulator aircraft, creating such iconic aircraft as the 707, the 777, the Hercules, and weirdly, an F-104 Starfighter, I do believe. Into FSX days, they again created aircraft for the flight simulators, and they were pretty good. Yeah, they didn't have, you know, every different version of all the aircraft that are going out there, like, you know, Just Flight have been putting out aircraft for quite a long time, and lots of different variations of aircraft. CraftySim, they did release an aircraft, and then they'd release a pack of different variants of that aircraft. I remember the 757, I do believe, was one of their aircraft as well, and that had the airliner versions, the differing versions of the airliners, and then went into cargo and freight, all that kind of stuff. So that's how their model went. Coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024, well, things are a little bit different for CraftySim. They're not the best. In fact, if it was for this aircraft here in front of you, the C130 Hercules, well, it's been a bit of a bumpy road, shall we say. You see, this aircraft, yes, it's not a port over of the FSX Hercules. It is a creation ground up for 2020. And it is a copy of their, obviously, legendary Hercules. And, well, when it first came out, and it's not the J model that was released first, I believe they released a lot earlier versions. I think there's 3 versions of Hercules now out by CraftySim. But the first version that came out, it was missing a few slightly important parts. 1, a virtual cockpit. And 2, a damn decent sound set. And them's very big things. The exterior model was very good. I mean, it was acceptable for 2020 standards. But you lost all that. You lost the, what's the word I'm looking for, immersion, when you jumped inside, and it was just a view of nothing, because nothing was inside the cockpit, and it just killed it. The immersion was gone. And on top of that, as I've always said, sounds are extremely important in a flight simulator product. If you're creating a rendition of a particular aircraft or a particular engine, I would expect you to put effort into creating the correct sounds for said aircraft or said engine. And what did we get? The turboprop sounds from, I do believe, a King Air. Oh boy. It was terrible. I downloaded the aircraft, I downloaded this version, I've got the J model, and when it first came out, again, it didn't have the sounds. It had standard turboprop sounds. And that's alright if you're creating a small, little, twin-engine or single-engine civilian light turboprop. It's believable. A turboprop pretty much sounds almost the same as any other turboprop. You have a problem when you start adding 4 engines instead of 2 engines, or instead of 1 engine. It's a bit of a difference when you've got 4 noise sources even. But CraftySim didn't give us that. They gave us generic turboprop sounds. And that's why this aircraft was flown on my computer once. I don't think I even landed. I quickly deleted it, put it into my storage hard drive, and forgot about it. And then I was just Googling around, playing with YouTube and all the rest of it, and I suddenly found out that CraftySim had been doing some work, and had been working on the 3D cockpit. It's not perfect, but I'll go on that in the future, in a minute. But, importantly, they'd given the Hercules the correct sounds. I can't remember for the life of me what engine's doing the Hercules. Put down below what engines it's got. Oh god, I've completely lost me now. But anyway, they did create a correct sound pack for Hercules. And they've also been working on the 3D cockpit. Now, like I said, there is a few issues with the 3D cockpit. Now, as I've said, this is the J model. It is designated a J model because it has these things here. We have the 6-blade composite blades. The J model had a lot of other parts to it, but in our terms, in Flight Simulator terms, we have a differing blade setup here. And that is what the RAF famously last flew. Their last Hercules aircraft were J model Super Hercs, or Hercules anyway. And like I say, we have got 3D cockpit. We've got this. It's a 3D cockpit. And it's alright. It ain't half bad. It looks really good, actually. I mean, you look all around it. It is a Hercules cockpit. Everywhere you look at that is a Hercules cockpit. But again, CraftySim, you sort of fumbled the ball again, didn't you? Because this cockpit is a drop-in cockpit from the earlier models of Hercules. The J model Herc does not have analog controls. As far as I know, it is a digital flight deck. It's the top of the range, latest model. I do believe it's the only variant of Hercules that's still in production, is the J model. So it ain't got all these. I do love analog controls, don't get me wrong. I love my dials. It's very hard to understand, especially when you've got 4 engines to deal with. But this is off an earlier Herc, and the J model don't have that. But sounds, we did get. Like I said, we have got sounds. So today, I am back at RAF Waddington, and I'm going to fly me a Hercules. I've only actually flown this a couple of times. And it is what you'd expect. It's a heavy cargo aircraft, but she is quite manoeuvrable. She will put a display on. The repaint does not come with the Hercules from CraftySim. In fact, this is another drop down. It's not a letdown. We get the dizzying high of 1 repaint with this Hercules. 1. It is a copy, a very damn decent copy, I may add, of the United States Air Force Hercules. I can't remember which variant of, but it is a copy of a real Herc, but from America. We don't have any repaints from the other countries that fly the Hercules. And trust me, there are a lot of countries that fly the Hercules. There are a lot of countries that have brought the Hercules into their inventory and class it as an iconic piece of aviation technology and ability to move a lot of stuff. It gets me a little bit riled up, this does. But I got this repaint. It is from flightsim.to. It is a 47 Squadron, because you can tell that because it says 47 Squadron. Anniversary repaint in 2016, because again it says it on the tail there, 1916 to 2016, and it is an anniversary of 47 Squadron. So it is an accurate repaint of a Royal Air Force C130. The only thing I do believe is a little bit wrong, and I'm not 100% whether all the Hercs had this, but there's no air-to-air refueling probe on this thing, so I think the RAF ones had an air-to-air refueling probe, but I can forgive the fact if it's supposed to have that, I can forgive it doesn't have it. But repaint-wise, it looks really good. So now, finally, do we have a proper rendition of a Hercules? Can we put this into our hard drives if we're so interested in cargo airplanes and actually fly this aircraft and have some fun? Well, that's what we're here to do, because I am going to start this thing up and I am going to fly it. And now, I do believe I haven't covered 4-engined aircraft too many times on the channel. In fact, many months ago, I think I had the Just Flight Vulcan, was the last of the 4-engined aircraft I've had on this channel. So, it's not general aviation, but it is generally quite good as part of aviation. So anyway, batteries are all running. So, Let's start up this aircraft and listen to the new correct sounds for the Hercules engines. That's what a Hercules should sound like. So let's just check even the audio. I do apologise if the audio is a little bit odd. It's a very deep rumbling sound. Even I had to turn the sounds down on this thing. So like I say, I hope this is coming through, but we do have an accurate sound pack for the Hercules. So like I said, we are at RAF Waddington, and we will be departing out of runway 20, I do believe, and we're going to stay in the local area. We'll just show off what CraftySim have done so far to Hercules, which is an immense improvement on what we had before. Of course, I'm always looking now for downsides to this aircraft. I mean, the aircraft itself, the Hercules itself, is legendary. Lots of countries have used the Hercules in the past, and they still use it today. RAF, unfortunately, isn't one of them. We got rid of all our Hercs and have replaced them with less A400M Atlas aircraft. No idea why. And you may be wondering as well, this cockpit, even though obviously it's not an accurate cockpit for the J model, how much of the cockpit is actually clickable? 60%. You know, you can start the aircraft up, you can use the power systems, lighting, ramp control, all that sort of stuff. It's there, but you know, you haven't got it's not a full fidelity aircraft by any stretch of the imagination. I do remember standing at Riyadh last year, and a Royal Jordanian Air Force C130, a very early model C130, taxied past us so close. I mean, you might as well have been stood on that grass there. And boy, what a sound it puts out. So Trackir is having its wonderful time. So, let's demonstrate how good Captain Sim have been doing things so far. Flaps 2-stage, gear down, obviously. Left-hand departure, probably take off around 120, 130 knots. We're quite light for a cargo aircraft. Parking brakes off, running up engines. There's 50. Brakes off, let's go. There's 100. There's 120. Rotating. Tap the brakes, gear coming up. .600 feet and climbing. So considering it's a 4-engined cargo aircraft, it is very manoeuvrable, and it brings the word tactical into its being. Good visibility to C-130, especially from the pilot's view. What I will say is, on the control side of it, like I say, it is heavy. It's heavy, yet it still is manoeuvrable. But it is a rudder. The rudder is very important in the manoeuvrability of this aircraft. You can't really just turn bank the wings and just turn. The rudder is used in cohorts with the turning. But you do have to think ahead when it comes to when you're going to start your turns, and it ain't a fighter plane, is what I'm trying to say. I will say as well, the Hercules, although known for being a cargo transport aircraft, capable of transporting pretty much anything, also is a combat aircraft. That's right, this aircraft is capable of deploying weaponry. I'm not talking about sidewinders off the wings or anything silly like that, but there is differing versions of the C-130. One of them is called the AC-130. Flies the United States Air Force, I do believe is the only one that has them. And it is a gunship. And it is armed with, I believe, 2 Gatling guns, miniguns. The rotary kind of spitting bullets at high rates of fire. Also armed with a 40mm Bofors cannon. I believe it's a 40mm Bofors. And if that's not big enough to make the enemy go away, is also armed with a 108 inch, not an inch, it's an artillery piece. Take the wheels and carriage off it and just put the gun into a cradle, and yeah, you slap it to the side of a C-130 Hercules, sorry, AC-130, and you have yourself a Spectre gunship. All the weaponry pointing out of the side of the aircraft. And basically the C-130 flies in a lazy circuit around the target and just rains down hot lead. And on the weaponry front as well, I do believe the C-130 has deployed the... I've got to get this right, I'm sure I'm probably going to get it wrong, but it was the bomb with the biggest amount of explosive. It's called the Moab. I don't know how much explosives inside it, but this thing is huge, it's enormous. Sits in the back of the cargo hold, and basically you open the back doors, open the ramp, lift the aircraft nose up, and let the thing fall at the back. It's been deployed only a few times, and I do believe the last time it was deployed was in the Afghan war against the Taliban, and was a great way of, shall we say again, making them stop doing whatever it was they were doing. Was actually deployed against the tunnels and the mountains that most ordnance couldn't hit. And something else interesting about the C-130, believe it or not, it's actually landed and took off again on a United States Navy aircraft carrier. That flew and took off, landed and took off on a United States aircraft carrier, the USS Forrestal, I do believe it was. Basically, the US Navy wanted to bolster its COD delivery system, which is carrier on-board delivery, I think. Basically, cargo aircraft land on aircraft carriers, usually little twin-engine things. But the US Navy wanted to know if they could land something like this on an aircraft carrier and support an aircraft carrier better. And it could be done. You actually had to clear the whole deck. And the C-130 did land, like I said, and there is photos of it. I think there's even video of it landing on the Forrestal. And it took off again. As it was deemed probably a little bit too dangerous. And it sped up the development of the Greyhound, I want to say. I can't remember. The actual United States Navy COD delivery aircraft. I think it's a Greyhound, I'm sure it is. So, let's bring ourselves back in for a landing and approach. Hopefully we'll also be showing off another one of the party pieces of the C-130, its ability to stop very quickly. Deploying reverse thrust on all 4 engines. Can also reverse itself. So, hopefully it will show that off. Windows inside, gears going down. Flaps 2-stage. got 10 knot crosswind, right to left. Shouldn't be an issue. Well, obviously 10 knots won't be an issue for this aircraft. Trying to make the nose bump. So there we go, party piece of the C130. The ability to reverse back up the runway and also turn around in its own power. Obviously normally that's done with the ramp open and the airload master looking at the back of it to obviously check for the pilot, because you can't physically see what's behind him or her. But obviously we don't have an airload master with us on the sim. Another party piece, I do believe, of this, if I can remember. Stop the aircraft before I run off the taxiway. Escape hatch. Flag. God bless the Royal Air Force. So there we go. The C130J Super Hercules by CraftySim. Is it a good aircraft? Yes, I think it is. I've got to be honest. I mean, I'm not going to gripe on about what CraftySim did or did not do in the past. I think they're trying to create an acceptable rendition of the C130. We don't have a C130, I don't believe, anyway, in the sim. And to get one finally that's got this level of detail, yes, there's some glaring issues. The fact that J model doesn't have that kind of cockpit, okay, fine, so be it. I can live with that, sort of. I'm very pleased with the sound pack. I think even you lot would agree, if you've heard a Hercules before, it does sound like a Hercules. So I am going to give it a definite pass on the sounds. External looks look really good. I know, ignoring the repaint, the standard repaint that comes with this United States Air Force one is very, very good. It is grey, but that's how their aircraft are. I think flight handling wise, it feels like a heavy aircraft, yet it's still manoeuvrable enough to quote unquote throw it around the sky. I think you do have to have rudder pedals for this aircraft. I wouldn't want to fly it without rudder pedals. I think the turning circle would be quite bad and quite, not showing off a proper rendition of the C130. So yeah, I do think it's a brilliant aircraft. It's available on Marketplace. I do believe it's also available on numerous different flight simulator vendors. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know whether the other versions of the Hercules have the new sound pack and all the rest of the stuff on it. I haven't checked them. I don't have them on my hard drive. But if they do, it's fantastic. If you're after a Hercules, this is the one you're going to buy. It's the only one you're going to buy. CraftySim, the only one, I do believe. But if you want an early version with the 4-blade, CraftySim have it. If you want the 6-blade composite one here, the J model, the Super Herc, again, CraftySim have got it. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's a really good aircraft. If you've got any questions or comments about the Hercules, please let me know below, and I'll get around to answering them. If you do know the names of the engines on this thing, I can't pronounce it. No idea. Haven't a foggiest off the top of my head. But put that down below, because I'd love to know what the engines are. And I will see you guys and girls in a future Microsoft Flight Simulator video very, very soon.